ADD gang back in the building. So I'm sorry about messing the video up. Um, I have my phone hooked up to my car, and so I haven't figured out how to detach or whatnot. So for some reason, when I'm in my car now, I can't do videos because, like I said, it makes it where it doesn't have any sound. But anyways, so the video. Let me get back to it. So as I discussed, I not only got in a fight, got caught naked once in jail, but twice, and had another crazy story that I was naked. Anyhow, I'm feeding I have 7 indoor cats and 1 outdoor cat. When we first moved in the house, I put the cats in these cupboard things, and my cat thought that I was going to keep them in there. And when we moved in here 3-4 years ago, our cat ran away. So I have a cat that's outdoor cat, won't come inside, and 7 indoor cats. But anywho, so on the first go around, as I mentioned, the first time I was in jail, I was in this pod. So when I get to the jail, as I discussed before, I thought it was going to be a good thing to say that I was suicidal, right? The first time I was arrested, and when you're arrested, they ask you, they go through a list with you, see if you're got any kind of illnesses, that kind of thing, if you can be around other people, if you're contaminated, and they ask you if you're depressed, suicidal, think of hurting yourself, hurting others. And so I said, yeah, I was suicidal. And I was used to that being a good thing through treatments and rehabs, but it's not a good thing when it comes to jail. So little did I know they put me in the dorm with the crazy people, right? And usually when you link crazy to people in jail, it's usually violent. So all the people in this dorm were some of the worst of the worst. I always find myself in these kind of situations. For instance, the guys in the dorm were everything from child molesters to, there was a guy in there for murder, there was a couple of child molesters, there was drug cases like me, probation violations, all kind of different reasonings. But like I said, I was in there they asked me if I was suicidal, and I said yes. So this was the crazy pod. And there was a guy in there, the dorm bully was this guy James, right? I was 21 and James was probably 17, 18, but James was a good bit taller than me. I'm 5'5", and was then. James is about a good 6 foot. He wasn't very big and stocky, but he was tall and he had a reach on him. So, as I've discussed before, I'm in this crazy pod, and this guy James is fucking with me. And he keeps messing with me, doing little shit. He's doing shit to others. He's fucking with all kind of people in this pod, right? And he's getting in fights. And it's just known that, I got a good chance that we're going to get in a fight. So, like I said, he's like the pod, even for being a young kid, he somehow was like the dorm bully, right? A lot of people let him punk him out and shit. But I wouldn't. So one day, he comes up and he's fucking with me, right? And I think we squashed the beast. And I go into the shower, right? Well, the dorm is only like a 10 by 15 room, right? And along one of the walls is all the bunks. There's like 8 to 10 two-man bunks along one wall. And then through the middle of the room is this long table, right? This long metal table that everybody sits and eats at. And on the other side of this table, opposite of the bunkers, is the shower. And something else, some other little small area. The room wasn't very big. So I get in the shower, and I'm in there, and this guy's fucking with me now, right? And he reaches his hand in there, and he tries to touch my ass, and I have to slap his hand a time or two. And then he does, and then I tell him, do it again, it's on. And sure as shit, he did it again. and we go to rumbling right there, right? And there wasn't much room at all. Like right behind him was the table. But we're going at it, and in the midst of the chaos, we're fighting, and I'm naked, and I'm coming out, and whatchamacallit, the drape, whatever, the drape comes down and gets wrapped around me now, right? And now I've pulled the towel bar down. The bar holds the drapes up, and I pull that down, and I'm fighting him, and this thing's like almost, I'm halfway using it like as an apron, like covering my junk, but this bar's like in the way, and so I'm fighting with him, and we're doing shots back and forth, and I can't put my hands down to adjust this bar or do anything, because he's swinging on me, and so we're swinging back and forth, and I lunge at him and get him against the table and start hammering him, right? But I'm butt naked, and we're fighting right on the table, and I wind up getting the better of him. But I'm sitting there looking like a dumbass. I'm butt naked. So that was one of the times. Oh, and many years later, this goes along with another one of these. Every time I run into somebody, I will again, coincidences. So fast forward to I'm in my 30s. Me and my wife and my son, Zach and Colin, we live in this townhouse that I've discussed in Kennesaw, Georgia. Well, it's the same place that when Colin set the closet on fire, when the cops were all in my cul-de-sac, this is the place that I lived at the time. I come home from work one day, and James is sitting in my driveway, like right next to my driveway. And he gets out, and I get out, and he's like a completely different person. He's not mouthy. He's not, the complete prig piece of shit, bully punk that he was, many years before. And he don't recognize me. Like I said at the time, my hair was long, one length. It got cut in boot camp, but before I went to boot camp, I had long hair. And so maybe he didn't recognize me because of this, and he don't recognize me. He's sitting at the end of my cul-de-sac, and I come home from work one day, and I come out and just say, hey, Hal, what you're doing, and he looked kind of spooked or whatnot. I think he was, from the look of it, he reminded me of someone who was waiting on some drugs or something like this. He had like a guilty look on his face, right? So I run back into him, lo and behold, and that was the first fight, right? So as I discussed before, on this same run, on the same bid, from being in county 3.5 months and going to boot camp, so I get in a fight with this guy James, like I said, and I'm in a shower, and I come out, and I'm fighting in front of the whole pod naked, right? Not one of my best moments, not being a 6-foot black guy. Not the most, but maybe one of the most humiliating times in my life. One of 3, okay? And we'll discuss all 3 now. That was one. I went to boot camp on my 22nd birthday. I was in county jail 3.5 months waiting to go to boot camp. On my 22nd birthday, October 17th, they took me out of the jail and were taking me to boot camp. Cop that was taking me, they handcuffed me. I get in a cop car, and I'm going with a cop. We get down the road a couple of miles, and the cop says, "Am I going to have any problems with you?" I said, "No, sir." So he pulls over at the first gas station, and he comes over and he takes me out of my handcuffs, and he gets me out of the back seat, and he takes me out of my cuffs and puts me in the front seat. And he goes in the gas station, and he comes back out with the Dr. Pepper, and he gives me a drink and a cigarette and says, "Happy birthday, kid." I said, "Oh, thank you." So he let me smoke a cigarette on the way up to boot camp. I discussed what hell that place was, but the same night that I got there, I'm showering, right? And so I'm butt naked here once again, and I'm in the boot camp, and you have to shower every night, which I do anyways. But so the first night I'm there, I'm showering, and I'm on one side of the stalls, there's like 8 shower heads, right? Everyone has to shower at the same time. Guys can shower at night if they want to. There's not as many people in the evening as there is like in the morning. Everyone usually wants to shower then. So it was only me. When I went in there, there was a black guy. This black guy, Francis. This guy was gay, okay? Like I said before, I have nothing against gays. I'm just telling you what it was. So he's on one end. So I go to the opposite end. I'm showering. I've now been given my soap on a rope. And I'm showering. And I got shoes. They give you shower shoes, like these plastic orange flip-flops pretty much. And soap on a rope. So I'm soaping up, lathering. And he comes and he gets right next to me. And so I give him an eat shit look, and I walk away from him, and I go all the way down to the other side from where he just came from, now trying to get away from him, right? I'm down there for about a minute. Not even a minute, he comes down there. So I give him a really shit look and go to the other side. This went back and forth a time or two, where it eventually came to where I said, do it again, it's on. And as always, it was on. And so he did it one last time, and I knew that I was going to have to fend for myself. The only way out of this was showing this dude that I wasn't, that I wasn't pussy. So, like I said, do it again. He did it again, and we go to tussling. We go to swinging right there in the shower. I'm butt naked, and it's wet, and I got on flip-flops, like I said, and you're sliding. It's not like you're not on, you're not on in sneakers on the ground. You're in an 8-man shower. When the floor gets wet, it's slippery. You know what I'm saying? I'm slipping and sliding fighting with this guy. And it was, needless to say, not one of my most greatest memories. Fighting with a black gay guy butt naked in the shower wasn't one of my favorites. So, but yeah. How many people can say that, right? Not once, but twice I fought naked on the same bed, on the same run. So then there was also another time. Oh, shit. Okay, I dropped my phone on my neighbor's side of the fence. But on the third time,